What's good, everybody? It's your boy Tico on Blitz, back at it again with another video. And here we are in the second phase of Unreal Engine 5's variation of World of Tanks Blitz, also known as World of Tanks Blitz Reforged. Apparently, there has been a lot of implemented changes that Wargaming has thought about for quite a while now, as there's been a substantial amount of feedback that's been going around. And a lot of the player base was basically dissing on Wargaming for the fact that a lot of the stuff that was present in the first variation of the Ultra Test didn't really meet amongst their standards. So they did a lot of research, apparently from what they said, and they took stuff to the next level based upon reading, carefully examining, and implementing all of the necessary feedback that a lot of the player base has told them to replicate. So here they are going on into and implementing stage 2 of the Reforged update. So the first thing that I noticed, as apart from the changes, is they now implemented the tech tree, which is basically kind of like what they did for the standard World of Tanks. However, the thing that's kind of confusing is that the sets are still present. And I don't really like the sets, apart from what I'm seeing, is because it really just divides like what tanks you can grind towards to get to like a whole new set, if that's how you want to put it. When in World of Tanks Blitz, it's just divided amongst every single tank as associated with one full tech tree line, to where you can just go ahead and grind all the way to it for free. But as apart from what I'm seeing, look at this. KV2 right here after the KV1. A whole nother set divides the KV1 as, like, what the heck, bro? It basically means that you would have to pay keys in order to unlock this new set, which is kind of stupid. But if you've already grinded a tech tree line in Blitz, and you've already researched, like, every tank that's associated within that line, then you can still research it. It'll still be available within the set itself, except for the ones that you're trying to continue forward through a certain line, but never got the chance to research some of the vehicles that are in the line. Well, it basically means that you can still get the vehicles that you've used in World of Tanks Blitz and have researched fully, but you can't get the ones that you have not grinded through yet. And again, another example indicates that the KV-13 is present in Tier 5 with this current set, and then it divides the T-44, which grinds after the T-43, into a whole separate set. This is really confusing, especially for the fact that the tech tree is extremely long, and you kind of have to zoom all the way down in order to get an in-depth overview. But look at this one right here. Actually, I think I pretty much know which one it is. Yeah, I think it might be this one, or it might be the Hibernation tanks, whichever one that could be. Although the Hibernation is not even present within this full-on tech tree, which means that you would have to search it individually, which is kind of stupid to even think about as apart from that. Yeah, here we go. Here it is. Premium and collectors. Yep. So yeah, the full-on tech tree is basically longer. The sets are still present to where it's still very confusing. But the good thing is that you can get a thorough in-depth overview of what the tanks would look like. But the problem is that you don't have the ability to look at the armor profiles or anything associated with that, which is kind of unfortunate. So you can look at the stats, but you can't really necessarily look at the armor profile. So that's kind of a little bit of something that I think Wargaming should possibly fix, is to implement just a straight-up standardized tech tree. I mean, the sets, we never even asked for those, and exclusively for the fact that you're putting in a paywall in order to unlock brand new sets for vehicles that you haven't grinded yet on World of Tanks Blitz is possibly the stupidest thing that you can ever imagine, as apart from a game that we've been most familiar with for the past 11 or 12 years, and you want to try to take it a step further by implementing stuff that we as a player base wish did not ever exist in another variation of this game. So that's something that has to be thoroughly looked at if you want to implement something different in Ultra Test 3. The next common concern that I find is definitely the commanders. The thing that kind of bums me out with the commanders is for the fact that certain commanders are only stuck with listing certain class vehicles that place restrictions on you only are allowed to use it for that class of vehicle. I know that there's two main ones that can be used for any class, and then there's the next couple like Anthony Cole, Lisa Daibi, Captain, and Kai Manu, which are only restricted amongst a class of vehicle to which they are prompted to, like heavy tanks, only mediums, tank destroyers, medium tanks. I mean, you get the idea. And it's for the fact as well that I don't really like the fact that they only have pre-amplified abilities that are stuck with them, which in reality, if I go over to something like World of Tanks console on the other hand, you can see that they are divided amongst commanders, which are 2D and 3D commanders. But you will only get slots associated with the stars on the top of the commander, indicating that a 2D commander only is applicable with holding 1 star, which means it's only allowed to have 1 slot. And a 3D commander can have up to 2 slots, but you gain crew XP by playing battles and then using crew XP certificates in order to gain access towards unlocking new slots. So I don't really see why implementing commanders on Reforged is something that would take advantage over console, because of the fact that in console you can implement whatever skills that you want based upon preference. There's no restrictions as well based upon what class of vehicle that you can put them towards. And you can basically take things and use crew experience to improve your overall statistics of a certain vehicle. While in Reforged, you're only stuck to using pre-amplified abilities to what are already assigned to commanders, which will basically indicate that they would have different playstyles. But if you want a tank to have a very similar playstyle, like similar heavies, mediums, tank destroyers, anything like that, then you can choose what crew skills that you would like upon your personal preference, and you can unlock as many slots as possible to improve your crew experience just by playing battles. It's basically like saying that you're working for gaining crew experience to unlock more available skills upon your choosing for console. And I think that's what Reforged most sincerely should take notes about, is that the fact that instead of having pre-amplified abilities, which is basically stupid, and placing restrictions upon what class of vehicle that you can assign a certain commander to with stuck abilities to what are present within that commander, is they should have the ability to have slots, and you should grind crew experience as apart from Reforged in order to gain access towards unlocking new skills, to which you can choose whichever one that you want. And that is very confusing of an aspect for commanders, because it basically was implemented upon Wargaming's behalf to where you can basically just buy your way upon levels and basically make it to where the commanders are overpowered. Again, it's not something that we wanted. And Wargaming, you should definitely take notes and implement it the same way as console. Because if it was done upon the way that console has, it'd be more fair and balanced. And plus, you can choose whichever crew skills that you want to implement for a certain commander. I just don't know, man. I mean, the game itself, I don't really have problems with. Like, the physical game aspect. Like, I did hear that they did change up the graphics a little bit. I do like the graphics much better than what they were beforehand. The physics have been changed. The only thing that I don't like about the physics changes is for the fact that when I'm trying to maneuver my tank over while I'm holding D when it's using its traverse, and then I hold the W key, it just moves forward. When in Blitz, it basically just relies on trying to move forward at a very not so rapid or slow and fluent tempo, as opposed to a tank that in Reforged, when you're traversing and you're holding the W key, it just continues moving forward at a more steady pace. Like, it's a little bit weird to think about as apart from that. And another thing that I find a little bit concerning is that certain vehicles now have premium shell restrictions. Like, they only have it to like a certain limit, to where I do see that some vehicles have like a very low capacity that can withhold the maximum amount of premium shells that they have, like 7. I don't really know where that came from, but I do like the fact as well that your consumables and everything that's apart from what you grinded in World of Tank Blitz did save. And now some vehicles are playable, or pretty much all the vehicles are playable now. Like, I did see them place restrictions on the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen because it wasn't present in the game just yet. I did see them place restrictions on the Waffen F1.0, but now you're allowed to play that thing. The Rhino, just a whole lot of tanks that weren't allowed to be playable because they kept saying, oh, you gotta wait for future updates or graphics to be implemented fully so you could gain access towards this vehicle. That's a little something concerning. But now they've redid everything, applied all the graphic changes and everything like that to all the vehicles as apart from the game. So now you're basically free to play whatever at this point. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and get into a battle then, and let's see how we can do as apart from that. Aiming schematics are still a little bit as weird as always, I should also mention. And I did a live stream yesterday showcasing the aiming schematics as apart from that. I don't really notice a difference. I've been seeing feedback from a lot of my viewers saying that the reticle feels like it's more compact, but as apart from what I'm seeing, I don't see that being the case. And for the fact that I don't have the ability to snap my shells quite often, and for the fact that some of my shells just fly all over the place depending on if my aiming reticle is decreased to the full capacity or not, I mean, it's just really weird that the game still screws me just as much. And I know that some players can relate to that as well, for the fact that it's still not very accurate with the aiming schematics. I mean, when your turret is turned to like a point to where it's like turning and you're trying to fire in on an enemy within close radius, it still would account for like 0.1 of a second off to where the turret was last turned, as opposed to you're aiming fully in on the vehicle right there. Yeah, so kind of like a different example like that right there. But apparently this guy is an idiot because he decided to want to YOLO this for no reason. And thought that he could get away with it, just continuously trying to peck me off, but it didn't really work to his ability. So he's already out of the game to start us out with, so that's a fairly solid start. And I have no repair kit whatsoever, so I might be cooked here. Otherwise, this guy is just going to drive right into me, apparently. I don't really know the aspect of how well thought of a play that was, good sir. So, get the enemy T-57 Heavy off in the open. These are real players, by the way. I cannot believe that. These are actually real players. I cannot believe that this is actually a battle to where these players are playing like bots. Although there's only one bot on each team, which is kind of crazy to think about. So, alright, well, he's out of the game. So, WZ's right there. I cannot pen him whatsoever, and he does hit that. I do notice something a little bit strange as well, is that when an enemy hits you, you don't get like a sign or like a hit mark. You do get a hit marker, but you don't get like a armor hit or a penetration sound that's played, like, or it's like delayed at the same time, which is a little bit strange. I think they also need to look forward into that and make it to where it's more accurate. So, okay, well, to start us off, this was not a battle to where what I would picture to be solid, but a little bit weird at the same time, I should also mention, because those were actually real players that decided to YOLO on in, which is actually really weird of them to do. But you saw for the most part right there, we did do a solid performance demonstrating that the gameplay factors of this game are still pretty good. I do gotta say that they did also change the FPS drops, and now for the fact that I've adjusted my settings to be 120 frames per second, although it can go to a maximum of 144, although I'm running a 4070 Super on this guy, I do like that. I do like that it's more fluid, it's more smooth, and everything along the lines of that. And you kind of saw right there that the physics are still a little weird, where I was holding the D key, and then I was pressing the W key. My tank was moving slightly forward at a consistent rate, whereas in Blitz, it was moving not as fast, but a little bit more slowly. I think they also need to take a look at that, moreover. But still a solid first game, I should also mention. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it as opposed from that. So all I'm basically saying is that the majority of the feedback to what's been going on in this variation of Blitz, Wargaming has been taking sincere numbers of notes, and it's somewhat worked. A lot of people are still playing this game. I do see like 30 to 40 people on here on a frequent basis. But at the same time, I still think that there needs to be necessary changes at the same exact time. I think it mainly has to do with the exterior part of the game. Like the sets, the commanders, just everything about it still seems a bit off. And I would hope that with Unreal Engine 3, when it comes out within the next couple of months or so, after we get some necessary time to continue to try this game out, probably will save them some more room, as for the fact that Reforged is not going to be released anytime sooner or later. Like, they haven't given us a thorough on release date or anything along the lines to what's going to be going on sooner or later for this game. Well, if that ends up being the case and Blitz dies, is where I'm going to be moving to either Lesta or console. Because console is basically like the more balanced variation. You don't have anything crazy that's going on as opposed to what Blitz has to handle, because of the fact that you have like insane numbers of changes upon equipment factors, everything like that, to which the player base didn't necessarily want to be implemented as apart from that. So yeah, it's really weird what Blitz is been through nowadays, and for the fact that they're pretty much in a state now to where everything just seems a bit off. I mean, Drudos has said this, and I'm going to say it too. If a Wargaming dev is willing to talk to me straight up, I would be more than happy and glad to have a conversation with you. I'm starting to become one of the next big things for Blitz, hopefully one of these days. And I would like to indicate some feedback just as much. I'd really be interested. And for somebody that's played the game ever since I was 10 or 9 years old at the time, I really want to demonstrate some positive feedback to you guys. Like, you guys can hit me up on Discord at any time, and I would be more than happy to talk with you guys. Anything along the lines with that. I just want your guys' company to continuously exceed. That's something of my intellectual deity would want you guys as apart from that. So, alright. Well, it looks like that we're farming out some damage here. This guy's literally just trying to frickin' snap the shell and everything like that. But the beauty part about my IS-4 is that it will forever always be my favorite vehicle, for the fact that it just has insane levels of pen, just everything along the lines to why it's such a great vehicle nowadays. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm talking about. And here, I'm going to show you guys once again. So watch this. My tank's turn, I move forward at a steady rate. That's a little bit strange. That's something I think that would want to be fixed a little bit. So, yeah. Pretty good game, not going to lie. Instant top on the team in that regard. So, yeah. My thorough overall opinions upon this game is that I still think it's still mid. It's not pretty just yet. I do like the gameplay. I do like the graphics. And don't get me wrong, everything about this game is in a pretty good state. The stuff that I'm worried about is the exterior part. Just everything that's going on upon, like, the outside form of what this game has going for it. Like, the garage is fine. The commanders need to be changed up a little bit in my aspect. The sets honestly have to be removed because it's still as confusing as ever. Paywalls should not even exist for tech trees in order to gain access towards new sets. And just individually, everything about the tech tree itself needs to be changed. So, it's mainly just the exterior part. The gameplay is fine. I'm glad that the frame rates are consistent now. And I'm glad that we're not experiencing any frame drops. I'm glad that everything is still as proceeded as envisioned, because it's basically World of Tanks Blitz, just the standard one, but with a form of like 50% better graphics. To where I still want to see some changes, and I want to see a third Ultra test to where you guys actually give a crap about us. And like I said, I'm open to you guys chatting with me. Feel free to hit me up on Discord. It's in the link in the description below. Anything like that. Otherwise, if you just want to add me straight up, I'd feel more than happy to talk with you guys about what I feel is best for the game. And I'd like to interact with other content creators along the lines of that too. Because some of the opinions that I do see from a lot of content creators that have been giving their thorough on overviews of this game are ones that I somewhat agree with. And I feel like that I can take it to the next level just by changing stuff up a little bit. Like the commanders, for example. Using the same example to what it is on console. I think that that would be a good way to balance them out. So that way you can choose whichever skills, I've talked about this before, you can choose whatever skills that you want to implement without having a restriction based upon what commander is applicable for that class of tank, or just already pre-amplified with like where you can level up a certain crew skill that's pre-amplified into that commander, and yada yada yada. So, hopefully you guys did end up enjoying today's video on the other hand. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And make sure to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it, so you do not miss out on any new videos or streams. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, y'all.